Hey friends, it's Scott. I want to take a moment in the middle of the show here and just thank our sponsor, Tuple. I was chatting with Johnny Marler recently. Johnny, isn't screen sharing like a solved problem? Like, why would I even consider something custom or a premium tool like Tuple?
Yeah, I asked the same question when I first heard about Tuple. But what you realize is once you try Tuple, coding is a completely different experience than a meeting. It's interactive, it's fast paced, there's exchange, and it requires precision, unlike a meeting. So it's kind of like why would you buy a gaming mouse when a laptop trackpad works fine? I mean, technically you can play Elden Ring with the DK bongos. It's possible, but if you want to play it well, you want a nice controller. So it's the same with Tuple. People use Teams and Zoom for meetings because they're optimized for business conversations, but we need something for pairing, and that's what Tuple is. It's just one click to jump on a call, to share your screen, to start annotating on that screen, and Tuple's optimized so that you can actually still compile your code while you're pairing. I use Tuple, and it just makes pairing so much nicer than when using generic screen sharing tools. And yeah.
Yeah, I think if I'm already spending like a ton of money on a fancy keyboard or fancy machine, I want the best tools for the job. Like Jedi builds their own lightsaber, and Tuple is definitely a lightsaber worth checking out. You can see them at tuple.app. It's the best remote pair programming app on both Mac OS and Windows. Hi, I'm Scott Hanselman. This is another episode of Hansel Minutes. Today I'm chatting with Kat. She's a junior software engineer and a recent computer science graduate. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Scott?
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Yeah,
So you say junior. You say you're a junior software engineer. I've heard
I
early in
do.
career. I've heard all kinds of different things, but you lean into that.
Yeah. Um, I don't really think anything of it. I don't know if I'm supposed to. I don't. It is what I am.
Yeah. You getting
Yeah,
started.
I'm
How
not
how
as
you're what, a year and a half of internships? How long have you been working?
2 years and 4 months.
Okay. So that's like half of 5 years, which is half a decade. I mean, I don't know. Like it could be spun. Does it feel like a lot, or does it still feel like you just don't know anything?
Um, Depends on the day.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Most days I feel competent. Some days I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, I know why they hired me. I am a gift. And then sometimes I'm just like, I don't know. I work at a really large company and there's so much context that you have to learn to be competent, just like, oh, don't use this thing, I don't know how to explain that, but it depends.
Well,
It
if
depends.
I could help you with that, because I work at a big company too, and it's like
Yeah.
it's not about this keyword or that keyword or this bit of syntax of TypeScript or whatever. It's more
Mhm.
like, oh, that system was built 10 years ago, and if you touch it this way, it'll fall over, and like don't push that button, it'll blow everything up. Like there's all these
Yeah.
little things that are passed on sometimes with the oral tradition and sometimes are
Mhm.
documented, and like,
Mhm.
oh, that was Jeff and he's not here anymore, like that kind of context, and you don't
Mhm.
learn that in school.
Definitely not. Yeah. Yeah. I'm so thankful that I have the opportunity to work professionally because this is just the best learning environment for all the things I didn't know in class.
Mhm.
And I
Well,
get paid.
that the pay part is actually a benefit. So you don't learn how to do this in class. Like most class things in the first 2 years or 3 years of a 4 year degree are like small things, like make tic tac
Mhm.
toe or like rebuild an operating
Mhm.
system, and then towards the end, it's like senior project time or maybe a small group
Mhm.
project. But it doesn't feel like working on a team of 10, 15, 50 engineers is not done at all in school. Like, did they set you up for success at all in school?
I mean, to the best of their ability, I would say. I would say a lot of teachers that excuse me, professors that I,
Professors.
had the opportunity to study under, most of them kind of just went from bachelor's, master slash PhD and into teaching. Like, there were very few professors that had like extensive professional software engineering experience.
I am always gentle and careful about how I phrase this, but sometimes you just got to like take a stand. I was an adjunct professor at 2
Mm-hmm.
Oregon schools,
Mm-hmm.
and I've guest lectured at multiple schools, including the one that you graduated from.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there are professors out there that have never worked in industry. That
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean that their information is not valuable. It just means that they're missing arguably a large amount of context.
Mm-hmm.
Would you prefer to have someone work in industry for 10 years and then go teach? And would they have taught you differently?
So for some things, it's not necessary. So I would say like the earlier sort of classes, like what is it, discrete math, or like just like the
Which you use
I don't
every day at Big Co, I'm sure.
like I don't think everyone has to have that. But as we start getting towards the higher level classes, the ones right before you graduate, I do think it is very important or helpful, because I
Mm-hmm.
think there are some things that professors may have put emphasis on that when you're out in the real world, not necessarily, like, who cares? Like, that's not, I don't know. I think there's, yeah, I think it would have been helpful. That being said, I mean, there's only so much you can do unless you're actively in the workforce. So I don't know. I don't know, Scott.
That's a great answer. I think the challenge is like, are they representing reality? Are they representing a past reality? Like, I had professors in the 90s that had
Mhm.
kind of like had dropped out of the
Mhm.
industry. So then the question is, did they leave because they were frustrated, or did they leave because they couldn't hack it? Were
Mhm.
they mad? Like, I had one guy who was like at IBM, and he spent all this time just hating on IBM. Like, we were in a
Mhm.
compilers class, and all this guy is doing is telling me how IBM sucks.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I
it's like,
think,
I don't want to deal with his emotional baggage about being in
yeah.
industry.
Yeah, I mean, so, as you know, I've had a whole other major before this. I graduated from econ, and I mean, it's the same thing. And
Yeah, you
most
have 2 degrees, just for context.
correct,
You have
yeah,
a BA and went back, got a BS in computer science.
correct. And so, and while I was at my first alma mater, which is UC San Diego, I worked at the Career Services Center too, like helping students get jobs. And I, I mean, academia does the best that it can, but I think it goes back to like, well, what are colleges for? Are colleges
Hmm.
just job preparation houses, or are they
Exactly.
centers for learning? And so that's probably why I struggle to answer this question, because depending on what you believe the purpose of a college institution is, your answer will vary.
I've always said the trite and pithy, you go there to learn how to learn. Because I try to explain to my kids is that every single thing that I'm looking at my degree, it's right there
Mhm.
from
Mhm.
OIT. Um, Everything except the language C is gone. Like, every operating system, even the
Mhm.
source control that I used, it's all dead. Like, none of it
Mhm.
exists. So like,
Mhm.
you at least hopefully used Git at school,
I did.
right?
Yeah.
But like, it didn't exist for me. C sharp
Mhm.
didn't exist. JavaScript didn't exist. Like, none of that stuff existed. So like, why I didn't go there to learn those skills,
Mhm.
right? I mean, I did all my word work in VI, which still exists, but I'm not
Yeah,
going to use
yeah.
it. You know what I mean? So I figured that it's the only job that you're constantly learning and have to do study work,
Mhm.
like, that you're not
Mhm.
getting paid for.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I would argue that learning how to learn, and also being comfortable with having to learn, is more important than the specific stack that you graduate with. Because otherwise, I could have just went to a boot camp, but I specifically wanted to go to a college.
Okay, that's a great question, because that leads up to a great question, rather, is that I've always felt boot camps work for great for people who are like internally motivated and like, I know
Mhm.
I'm doing this, just give me a little bit of structure and I will do this. While
Mhm.
college is like, figure out who you are and figure out what you want to do and explore different
Mhm.
classes. And I don't know, I feel like it's good for autodidacts and for people who are self-motivated to go to a boot camp. But I don't think I'd recommend a boot camp anymore. They're not rigorous enough.
Yeah. I considered boot camps, but yeah, I always get in trouble when I talk about boot camps. So I need to be careful.
I don't want to. This is the thing, right? Nobody wants to disparage. Nobody wants to
people ride really hard for their boot camp, and I don't want to say like
nobody wants
your
to
boot
disparage
camp
anybody.
sucks. Yeah, but like for me, boot camps weren't the right solution for a couple of reasons. First, just throwing it out there, I am a Black woman, and that actually came into my decision factor because I thought, look, as a Black woman, I'm going to be held at a higher scrutiny level than my peers, just because that's just how things work in the hiring market. I just feel like as a Black woman, I need to prove myself harder than maybe someone who's,
not
heavily represented in the tech industry already. So yeah, I just
how did a college though fix that? How did a college versus a boot camp help make that better for you or make you feel more comfortable?
Because I think that no matter what the lip service that the industry has paid towards, like, we don't care wherever you come from, we just want you to be skilled. People overwhelmingly hire people with college degrees. They hire people with pedigree, and that's just kind of how it is. And so I think that boot camps worked for, an amount of people. I didn't want to risk it. I wanted to have the easiest hiring experience that I could possibly have given my circumstances. And I knew it would be easier if I had a college background.
My 17-year-old, literally yesterday, because we're doing the Common Apps right now. He's a senior. We're doing like recommendations and Common App and all this kind of stuff. He says, do I even need to go to college? I mean, like, college is just mean. Like, if you see someone's degree, it just means this is a serious person. And I was like, I never heard that phrase like that. He's just like, he met someone who like went to Cornell or something, which would be a very intimidating thing. Like, oh my God, Cornell. Like, I went to Portland Community College and you went to Cornell. You know what I mean? Like, I went to PCC Sylvania. We always say that when you're like Portland Community College, you don't just say that you went to Portland Community College. You actually hit the specific campus because somehow Sylvania is like what, more serious than Tannisbourne or like Cascade. I don't know. I went to PCC Sylvania. I'm a very serious person. But my son said he met someone and they were like, yeah, I went to blah, 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 Cornell. Or one guy, one of his buddies is at Northwestern. And he's like, this just means you're a serious person. So I have to go to school for 4 years just to prove that I'm serious. And I'm like, kind of, yeah. Like, because I want to be like, no, you go and learn. Like, yes, but if you're into that, like, if you're a super jazz, go and take underwater basket weaving, take all the electives, have a blast. College is a joy. But also, if you just want to get a job, it is a crucial checklist. It's like, yep, did it. The thing is, though, the first couple of years, they care. How many years in the biz until you think they stop caring, right? And for me, it was like 5 to 10 years. Maybe for you, it'll be 10 to 15. But like at some point, someone will stop caring once you have a 2-page resume. Or a 3-page resume.
Yeah. And I've even heard like from friends who are in the program that, they were working professionally, but they felt that not having the degree kind of held them back from maybe promotions, getting into leadership positions. And so they got the degree to get them to the next step.
I did that. So
okay.
I graduated high school in 92, but I didn't, and I went to college immediately, but I didn't graduate with my 4-year degree until 2003. So it literally took 11 years of like working and going to school at night and credits expiring, which is like a whole thing they don't tell you. That like if like writing 121 apparently is not universal, it expires after 7 years. You have to take it again. Like all of that kind of drama. And I did it because it's like, I don't think they're going to let me get senior engineer if I don't become, get a degree. But it was also imposter syndrome that it's like, and even now, like literally even now, 30 years into my career, I'm thinking maybe a master's degree in like ML would help.
Really?
Just because it's like I don't know all the stuff.
I mean, who does?
Well, but this is the thing, right? it feels like everyone else knows all the stuff because I'm in
Yeah,
those meetings with them
yeah,
and they're really smart.
yeah. I am very much well, it feels like everyone else, and I'm very fortunate to still be in contact with my cohort, and they're like, no, no.
Some people do, some people don't. Like I was
Yeah.
talking with a principal engineer at Microsoft named Safia Abdallah, and she said the coolest thing. She said, competence is a really good way to build your confidence.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
Mhm.
I'm gonna put that on a
Mhm.
t-shirt.
Yeah.
Like that is so true. Like being able to say, no, I'm pretty sure I know how this works. I built
Yeah.
it or
Yeah.
whatever,
Oh,
is a very comforting
100%.
thing.
I mean, when you ask me about like, do I still feel like a junior? There are days where I'm like, you know what? I can feel in my bones that I really know how to do this because the last couple of times I rocked it. So yeah, I feel pretty good about this. I don't like saying imposter syndrome. I
No, I know.
because
I've said it for
yeah,
years. I have it, but at the same time, it's like it depends on what I'm making.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Like if it's making web pages, I got
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
Making cloud applications, that I got that.
Mhm.
But like I've got this Altair behind me, which is like an old computer from the 70s.
Yeah.
And I am sitting here literally, I'm holding up right now for those who are listening to this on audio, like the printed guides.
Oh,
Cause
yeah.
I'm like last night, I was like 3 hours of going through like assembly. And I'm like, I don't know anything about computering.
Mhm.
I know
Mhm.
nothing. Uh, but it's like, but I do. I'm just digging it out of the archives. So, okay, so maybe you and I know how to do web pages, but we don't know how to do iOS apps, or maybe we know how to
Mhm.
do that, but we don't know how to make device drivers. But
Mhm.
then it's like, well, but if I did for 6 months, then I would know that too. So,
Mhm. Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, friends, this is Scott. I want to take a moment to thank our new sponsor, Postman Flows. I was chatting with Roderick from Postman. Roderick, what is one thing that you thought would be simple, but it turned out to be surprisingly hard? And what did you learn from it?
I think my biggest learning has been that AI can only compensate for what you don't know only so much. So if you really don't know what you're doing, you really can't wield AI in very powerful ways. Particularly when you're composing APIs together or you're building a UI, you can get to good outcomes from scratch. But if you're iterating, you really have to start understanding what's actually happening under the covers, and you just have to peel the layers of abstraction. At least where we are today. That may change in the future. And I found that visual languages, visual construction helps me quite a bit in that regard. So if you're an expert, you're now world class. But if you're a newbie, then you're still a newbie, just with more dangerous capabilities. And that's where it's an exciting world for us. We have to make sure that we're building and empowering people with the right tools, with the right guardrails, so that they can create good things, but not do harm, particularly when you connect them to APIs that can send payments or do transactions on your behalf.
One of the great tools for visualizing how easy it is to do this kind of work is Postman Flows. It lets you orchestrate APIs, logic, and data visually. You can check them out at postman.com/Hanselminutes. You've got a really great blog at catexcellence.io, and it's got just a ton of blog posts. I want to hit on a couple of them. One
Yeah,
of them
let's
I
talk about
thought
them.
really stuck with me because it said, learning to build without motivation.
Yeah, that was a recent one.
Yeah, because there's this not myth, but there's this kind of like ethos of oh, we only hire people who are building 9 to 5 and also building 5 to 9. Like they got to be excited about
Yeah, I don't know
engineering, but
about that.
and I'm kind of guilty of that because my hobbies are also building stuff at night, but
Mhm.
I'm motivated by it because like that computer is interesting and I want to understand it.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
you're building outside of work and you may not have, as you say, the juice to do it.
Mhm. Yeah, I know the ethos that you're talking about, and there are people who can do the same thing 24 hours and not feel burnt out, and good for them. I'm so happy for them. I'm just not one of those people. And it's not really just software engineering. I used to be a writer before I was a software engineer, and
Mm.
I used to blog in my free time. Once I became a full-time professional writer, I
Mm-hmm.
stopped writing because it was just too much. I got burnt out. Like I didn't want to look at words anymore. And so I kind of feel the same way. Like sometimes, especially like I work on a very I work on an AI platform team, and it can be busy, and sometimes it's not just 9 to 5. Sometimes it requires a little bit more time than that. And at the end of that day, I don't I don't want to look at code, like
Yeah.
I want to go play volleyball. I
Yeah.
want to look at my garden. I want to read a fantasy novel. Like sometimes I just don't want to do the same thing that I've been doing for 8 hours. And I don't think that there should be anything wrong with that either. And I would argue that it's completely normal.
You say though that any progress is progress. Do
Yeah.
you have to like study? Because you said you feel junior, you feel early in career so far on some days.
Mhm.
Do you
Mhm.
say, I'm going to go and learn this thing for an hour? Do you sit down and assign? Like I put an hour on my calendar, sometimes 9 to 5 if I can do it.
Mhm.
We're also like, I'm going to sit for lunch and I'm going to read this technical paper. What's your
Yeah.
studying like if you don't have the juice to do it?
Yeah. So right now I'm going through the full stack open, which is something I've already done before, but I'm a Java girl.
Mm. It's
And
okay.
it's
Nobody's perfect.
and it's been so long since I've touched React, since I've touched JavaScript,
Mm-hmm.
TypeScript, that I want to feel more competent in it. So to me, studying looks like just going through the exercises, going through the problems, and like getting a refresher in it. Does that answer your question?
So Full Stack Open, you can see at fullstackopen.com, and it's actually the exact same course that was taught at a university in Finland. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
they put the entire course online. It's very rigorous. How far
Mm-hmm.
into it are you?
Part two.
You feeling pretty good about it?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, like you read, I do believe that any sort of progress is progress.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, like I still work a full time. It's not like I'm not developing any sort of software engineering skills. I work as a professional software engineer, but where I want to be, which is being more comfortable with open source tooling and
Mm-hmm.
just being able to just get up and go with anything from scratch, like I want to be able to do that. So that is why I take the time to do it. I don't have any pressing deadline to be where I want to be. It's
Mm-hmm.
just a desire. I do a thing where I look at people's backgrounds, and if I feel like a little bit of like career envy, I use that as like sort of signal as to, okay, this is something that I want in my life. Like, what do I need to do to sort of get me on the path where I can do this?
Mm.
And so,
Intentionality.
yeah. And just quieting my jealousy monster.
Mm. Yeah, I can feel that. You've got another great blog called Career Cheat Codes for Junior Software Engineers. I would
Yeah.
argue, and you wrote this one a while back. It was on your 1 year anniversary of being a full
Mhm.
time professional engineer. I think these are cheat codes for all engineers. I would not preface that. You say ship code fast. Like
Yeah.
does that need to be said? Because you actually call out Being Glue by Tanya Riley, and I'm hoping to have her on
Yeah.
the podcast.
Yeah. I love that blog so much. I love her blog. She's so great. She's such a valuable resource for us baby
But you call
engineers on
out
the
that
internet.
proving your worth as a junior. Like everyone's like, why am I here? What am I doing? You're saying try to do 2 to 3 impactful PRs every week. Like you're saying shipping is the point. Like what do we do here? We ship pull
Hmm.
requests.
Yeah. So now that I've been working for a little bit, 2 to 3
Yeah.
PRs, I would go to pass me and be like, okay, girl.
Is that too much? I mean, are you one PR?
Um,
Like the thing is, like, what is a
no,
PR? Is it a bug fix or is it a full on feature?
something that's impactful, right? Who cares? And for me, PRs doesn't necessarily have to be code. That could be documentation. We do our code or documentation as code. And anything that can be impactful. the reason why I called out glue work is because I found myself early on doing a lot of the sort of glue work that needed to be done just
Mm-hmm.
because it comes natural to me. Like when I was in my previous career, I was a senior. And so doing that glue work comes very natural to me. However, when it comes down to what, how has Cat impacted this team,
Mm-hmm.
they're looking for artifacts.
Mm.
And it's really hard to it's really hard to document glue work. It's really hard to document like, oh, I connected this person to this person. I
Yeah.
made sure this person had contacts. I put everyone together in a room so we could quickly establish what we're even doing here. And all of that is important. But for juniors early on in your career, et cetera, I would argue that that's not what you need to be doing because,
Yeah. But that's the argument of like, is it activity or is it impact?
yeah, yeah. And for juniors, my experience is that they're looking at easy impact like artifacts like documentation, code,
Yeah.
things that you have shipped that have
Yeah.
made people happy.
My team is very diverse in age, and there's people a couple years out of school and people who've been doing this longer than me. And as a general rule, the rule on my team is that if you did a thing, there's a
Hmm.
URL to back up that you
Okay.
did that thing.
Yeah.
So if I give you a list of 10 things,
Yeah.
you should come back with 10 URLs.
Yeah.
The URL could be a PR, it could be a Word doc, it could be a markdown
Hmm.
file, it could be even a comment on a code review.
Hmm.
And this is
Okay.
a generalized,
Yeah.
rule of thumb. But like, if it doesn't have a URL, it probably didn't happen.
Hmm.
Now, meetings are a squishy one, right? Because the thing about meetings is you have all this energy, like, oh, okay, we're very excited, like a generated energy and everything like that. And then the meeting just
Hmm.
dissipates.
Yeah.
And it never, like, what happened? Well, we had a meeting. It
Yeah.
was great. The vibes were immaculate at this meeting.
Yeah.
So make a
Yeah.
thing, like do the
Yeah.
docs, do the docs.
Yeah. Or even like after the meeting, something that I have been doing is, especially like when we're meeting, it's because one team needs to talk. Well, for me, one team needs to talk to another team, and we need some sort of thing to understand where we're coming from. Like, oh, you want us to build this thing? Why? What's the context? What are the requirements, etc. So in those sorts of meetings, if I'm doing them, then there's going to be some sort of quick doc that we can all point to where everyone has the context. You can share it. We all know what we're doing. So if you're going to have one of those meetings, there should be some sort of document. But if you cannot produce it, then maybe as a junior, maybe you don't need to be focusing your effort there.
Yeah. One of my favorite cheat codes that you have here is review at least one PR a day. And it's not that cheat code that I think is the gold nugget within this.
Hmm.
Because, yeah, you should probably be reviewing code as well as writing code. But what I
Hmm.
liked was that you said juniors often feel like reviewing is intimidating. They're like, how do
Hmm.
I even review? I don't know anything. So
Hmm.
your hack is, which I think is great for seniors as well, is just ask questions if you don't get it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that just clicked with me. I was just like, you're right. I would just ask a question. I think the fear is that they're going to flip the bozo bit on you, and it's going to be like, how do you
Yeah.
not know that? But like, how do you get
Yeah.
past that? Because if you ask a good question, you're not necessarily trying to spot mistakes. You're just trying to understand, and then maybe the senior would be
Hmm.
like, oh, that's great. That's a great question.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Like I definitely, even now, like I still can, when there's a title, like I can still kind of get like a little intimidating, like, oh gosh, this
Like a
guy's
fancy
friend.
title, like someone's title, like their job title.
Yeah, like, okay, here I go, gonna review this principles,
Uh,
PR. Like, I hope I don't embarrass myself, or just like my tech lead or something like that. Cause like, I
Does
don't
that
know,
ever happen though? Like everyone's like, oh, they're going to say, like, it's not like you're saying, what does DNS stand for? Like, there's stuff you're not asking questions that you couldn't Google. Why would they think you're dumb? Honest question.
why would they think I'm dumb?
Like, we all feel that. I feel that. You feel that. People
Yeah,
who are listening are always afraid
yeah,
to like, I don't want to look dumb in this meeting, so I won't say anything. How
Yeah,
do
I mean, I
you?
guess it's just human ego, maybe, just wanting to protect your ego and just scared of putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
But, you know, the sort of thing, like, well, I'm just asking questions to clarify my own understanding. Like,
Mm,
that makes it less like, oh, it makes it less if I am pointing out something that should be corrected, it makes it less like, well, you got to do this, and more so like, hey, interesting that you chose to do it this way. Like, can you tell me more about the context of this or something like that?
mm,
Maybe I am wrong, or maybe, that gives them the opportunity to think more about why they're doing it that way. But when I ask, with the sort of like perspective of learning, I think it's just good for everyone because it makes it like an easy conversation. And also I think job places should be places for learning. Like I think that's
yeah.
what we should be doing is learning and teaching each other. And it makes it less of a um it's not as intimidating no matter what level, when I'm approaching a PR. And then people have, come back and said, You know, I thought more about your question. And I decided, why don't I just refactor this to make it more easier? Or people have said, if it's not obvious when you're asking, then I've clearly over engineered this and need to make this more simpler.
Mm,
And so I honestly, I think that's where juniors can kind of shine because I think that seniors because they have the experience, because they have the context, because they're operating at, have been operating at this level, I think they need someone like a junior to be like, hey, actually, looking at this code for the first time without all the context that you have, it's not easily clear to me what's happening here and why. And that's helpful for them. You're giving them, that fresh pair of eyes that's needed.
Let me ask this question as we close, because I'm working on this paper with my buddy Mark, and I have this theory that when we make apprenticeship, internship, internal company boot camps, we
Mhm.
label the juniors with names like intern or apprentice. And you've done a lot of great internships at a lot of really great companies.
Mhm.
I feel like by labeling the early in career person intern or apprentice, you're basically demanding that they transcend this label that you've given them of
Hmm.
small. And
Okay.
we should flip that so that the senior is given a title like proctor or preceptor, and they are graded on how well they are bringing the next generation up.
Oh,
So there's a
interesting.
formality to it, as opposed to
Yeah.
like, hey, Kat, you're new. Here's an old guy named Scott who's going to judge you while you write code,
Yeah.
right? Kind of traditional internship. Like, here, you don't know any of these people or this code or the context. Enjoy. Good luck. I hope
Yeah.
you survive.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, okay, we're going to take a bet on you for the next 1 to 3 years. You're going to
Mhm.
sit, and all of the things that I did over the last several decades of like running a site and feeling what it's like to run a live site and accidentally deleting production and like all the stuff that every good senior engineer has done,
Mhm.
you will have a safe place to do that. So it's
Mhm.
almost like I feel sometimes like electricians have more training than software engineers when it comes to like pairing up with elders and doing new stuff. So what do you think about a model
Yeah.
like that kind of flips internships on their head?
Yeah. I mean, anything that gives less experienced people the opportunity to learn in a safe space and also gives senior people the incentive to
Mm,
teach. I think that part because, everyone's got deadlines, everyone's got their KPIs, whatever that they need to hit. That being said, I think the company has a responsibility to keep the next generation going, to always have a skilled next generation. And so, yeah, anything that does both of those things, I'm all for.
I dig it. And I want to say I appreciate that you're early in career and you came on the podcast unapologetically. Sometimes
Yeah.
when people say, hey, come on a podcast, they're like, oh, I'm